Hello friends, my name is Nick and this week's plant of the week is Sansevieria or Dracaena pinguicula, and this is a houseplant for your wish list. The common name for this is the walking Sansevieria, and I think you can see why. The pup right here literally looks as if it's walking away from the mother. The mother plant's already outside of the soil. This is a really cool gimmick of this houseplant, that it's not inside the soil. It's completely outside. It's like 1.5 inches above the soil. This one's coming up like 2 inches now, and I feel like as it continues to grow even more, it's going to get even more character. So this is truly a houseplant that ages like a fine wine. In fact, I wasn't really even as obsessed with this houseplant when I first got it because it just didn't have the character that it has now. And it's still just a baby. It's only been on here for like a month. It's only gonna start to look cooler and cooler as it ages, and then this maybe starts to put off even more babies. I don't know, but I just feel really confident that in a couple of years, this houseplant is going to be really, really cool. Definitely at the top of my list already. It will be staying there. I can tell you that much. And the care for this houseplant is ridiculously easy. I think the only really downfall that I would say is that for a Sansevieria, for the size of it, it can get kind of pricey. Definitely not as much as like the aroids that have been out on the market for crazy value. I think I purchased mine for like $35 on Etsy, so I would imagine maybe that price has gone up with just, you know, the way that the plant markets worked, but I'd say like $35 to $60 is what I would expect myself to pay for a nice Sansevieria pinguicula. And like I said, it ages like a fine wine, so it's totally worth it. And it's a Sansevieria. It's like, you're not gonna kill it, especially if you care for it correctly, which I'm here to share with you today. So the most important thing with the Sansevieria is to put it in a bright window. Sansevierias, you always will be reading some like article online about low light houseplants, and they're like, Sansevierias, snake plants are amazing for that, blah, blah, blah. I will disagree with that. I'm gonna spare you a rant, but this is obviously a houseplant that is much more succulent than just those standard strappy, thinner leaved Sansevierias that those articles are referring to. So do not put this in low light. That would be such a shame. You got to put this in a bright windowsill. I have mine growing in an east-facing window. West-facing window is fine. South-facing window is great. I'm sure if north-facing window is all you got and you really want to grow this houseplant, I'm sure that will grow well as well. Maybe even a more like intense grow light that is more geared towards succulents and cacti. That would be great too. But bright light is key for this houseplant. That is rule number one. If you're doing anything else wrong or right, I don't know, you're giving this houseplant a lot of light. The watering has been very easy as well. I'm very lackadaisical with some of my houseplants that I know are much more like succulent. So I give this like a really good watering like once a month, but I will give it like sips of water throughout the month as well. So I'm not just like leaving it dry. This just has like really, really, really porous soil. You can see here I'm using like over 50% perlite with some cactus mix and some orchid bark, so like a very, very porous mixture. So if I water this too much, it just all spills out, so that's just a me problem. You could be watering this once every like 10 to 14 days if you're giving it a better watering than I am, but I have found my more sparing waterings to be great. Another really important thing for this is the temperature. This is a houseplant that really enjoys hot temperatures, so like over 70 degrees, maybe even pushing like 75 degrees. This would love the hottest room in your house, the hottest window that you have. This is the perfect houseplant for that. If you have a houseplant or a window that you're putting plants in and they're burning and you don't know what houseplant to put in that window, I got one for you right here, baby. You won't have an issue with the humidity with this. This does not mind low humidities. This is obviously growing in a very arid environment, so you want to avoid lots of moisture, particularly in the soil. In the air is less of a big deal. And toxicity, Sansevierias are technically mildly toxic or moderately toxic to animals and anybody if you eat them, but this, I don't know, this is like the most rock hard plant I grow in my home. So I don't even think I could cut this with a knife, like let alone bite it. So I would not personally be concerned about that. I would be more concerned about the points that this houseplant has. It's pretty sharp, so I feel like I keep this back. Like there's a layer of plants that I have in front of this, in front of the windowsill, so that Muffin, my cat, can't like get into that windowsill, which she's not even curious about my houseplants, but you never know. These are really sharp, particularly on this baby plant right here. These are very, very sharp. Like I feel like I'm already, this shouldn't be this close to my face. Like that's my mistake, but very, very sharp. That is what I would caution you about. And last but not least, I think we covered most of this with fertilizing, but you fertilize this like once a year with cactus and succulent fertilizer. You do not need to do more than once or twice a year. And I've never fertilized this, and I don't see myself fertilizing it anytime soon. And propagating is probably the more thing that you'd be wondering, which would be extremely easy. Once this grows to be more of stature, this is way too young for me to cut this. Would it survive? Yeah, but it's not going to grow to its fullest potential. Once this gets like a nice adult size leaf on it, then I would go and remove this. I would literally just follow this back. It's super easy. It's the same exact way that you would do regular Sansevierias, but those are growing underneath the soil, so you have to pull the whole thing out. In this case, it's already right there for you. Cut it from here. You can remove some of it. You can see basically, I can't tell if it's this or this right here, probably is where this pup was removed from, or you know, it was removed from here, but then they cut it back to here is basically what I'm trying to say. So you can remove this like artery here that connects the pup to the mother plant, and then you'll just be left with a nice pup, and then you can still just plant it above the soil. It does not have to be planted back down in the soil. That's how this plant grows, and it's just so freaking cool. So like I said, this is a houseplant for your wish list. If you've never heard of this before, highly recommend trying to find where you can buy it. I have no idea. This is not one that I would think you could walk into a houseplant store and find. At least I've never seen it in my area of the United States, but you know the way the climate's going with houseplants. Sometimes they just come in full force and then they are just everywhere for $10 to $15, which is always amazing. So if any growers are out there listening, I got a hot one for you. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. How to care for Sansevieria or Dracaena pinguicula, as Sansevierias were reclassified into Dracaena in the last couple of years. So just to bar off any confusion there. But thank you again for joining me. If you don't already, you can follow me on Patreon for even more houseplant content. You can follow me at phillyfoliage on TikTok and Instagram. Follow my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great time.